Welcome to this Pearson Edexcel A-Level Music presentation, a teacher's perspective of other music. You can see that wider listening has been replaced by the term other music. This change happened in March 2021 to remove confusion surrounding Appendix 4 wider listening. Other music enhances holistic understanding of music. Students investigate, analyse and evaluate music and its features. Building on this, and by using practical methods, they are encouraged to take a more holistic view of their knowledge as well as breadth and depth. The set works enable students to conduct in-depth studies into different musical styles and genres and place these within a wider context. It is worthwhile having a look at the assessment objectives for Component 3. As you can see, the component is covered by two assessment objectives, 3 and 4. Assessment Objective 3 is identical to GCSE Music, whereas Assessment Objective 4 has the added term analytical in its definition. We will consider this change later on. Unlike GCSE Music, they are not weighted the same. Only 10% of the overall qualification is fulfilled by AO3, rather than 20% at GCSE, and 30%, the same as performance and composition, is given to Assessment Objective 4. Therefore, the emphasis we need to get across to students is not demonstrating and applying musical knowledge, but to use analytical and appraising skills to make evaluative and critical judgments about the music. This is a huge change of perspective. Assessment Objective 4 from the specification means to use analytical and appraising skills to make evaluative and critical judgments about music. With the appraising paper, other music is integral to the question paper and mark scheme for questions 5 and 6. The paper is out of 100 marks, with 50 of those coming from questions 5 and 6. It is worthwhile noting that question 6 has greater emphasis on AO4, not AO3. Where can other music come from? Primarily, the pieces chosen for listening to for other music will be different for each student, teacher and centre. On this slide is a set of sources you can access for other music. This includes GCSE set works, previous specification anthology A-Level and GCSE, pieces from Key Stage 3 music, performance pieces students have experiences both in lessons but in ensembles as well, pieces students have listened to in composing lessons as well as their own listening outside of lessons, and Appendix 4 suggested other music. Some of the best practice used by teachers for the benefit of their students are discussion-based, two-way process between student and teacher and between students. There is no prescribed other music list. It is unique to each centre and can be different for each student, teacher and centre. Flexibility for the teacher. Play to the strengths of teachers and students. Other music should not be studied in the same way as set works, but experienced through discussion and listening. And different teaching approaches. Refer to other music when studying the set work, or look at other music once the piece has been taught and analysed. It is important for students to think about how other music can be used within questions 5 and 6. Teachers and students should consider the following points. Give examples of other music for each element. Keep it balanced and try to give examples justified by reference to other music. Not every musical point needs an other music reference. Put other music reference alongside the musical feature and not as general other music at the end of the essay or paragraph. Give specific references to other music than just the name of a composer or specific movement if a larger work. It is more effective to keep other music varied rather than limiting to one work throughout an essay. Incorporate other music fluently into the essay so it becomes a discussion. To help with the discussion of other music, you could think of using some of the following approaches. The same use of a musical feature or technique by an unconnected composer, unconnected pieces by a feature common to the genre or period. The set work and other musical pieces are connected, may be an influence. To help with analysis of both set works and other music, one of the most useful teaching tools that can be used is the colour coding of musical elements. It helps to give a clear understanding of key terms, such as harmonic devices, etc., and enables students to pinpoint analysis by looking for the colour initially, rather than reading through each annotation they may have. As you can see, some of the elements are combined together, e.g. meter, rhythm and tempo, as they are closely linked. Likewise, harmony and tonality are in two different shades of blue to indicate that there is some connection between them, but that they are also different. This colour coding has been used at every level in school from Key Stage 3 to A level and proved one of the most effective teaching tools we use. How to get started. Introduce other music so students get used to the concept and understanding of it from the start of the course. This could be done through a brief history of music course where students pick out musical features of the periods, comparing and contrasting them. Consider Other Music Friday or any other day of the week, a specific lesson where students know they will be looking at other music in that session. Look at the strengths, knowledge and understanding of your students. If you have a pianist, ask them to look at the Debussy set work and think of other pieces of music they may have played which contain similar musical features and present them to your students, including through performance. Remember that in the exam there is no score for question 5 and only an illustrative excerpt of a portion of the score for question 6. I would strongly encourage you to work orally. What musical features can they hear? This approach is much more beneficial than bar-by-bar analysis. We will now look at Area of Study 1, Vocal Music. In the specification, we have the following information for Area of Study 1, Vocal Music. These range from a Baroque Bach cantata as a sacred work designed for church performance to On Wenlock Edge by Vaughan Williams, a 20th century work providing breadth to the study of vocal works. The two set works are J.S. Bach, Ein Festberg, BWV 80 movements 1, 2 and 8, and Vaughan Williams On Wenlock Edge numbers 1, 3 and 5. This template has proved useful with students and complements the analysis colours shown earlier. As you can see, the table is an overview of the set work broken down into the musical elements and colour coded. You could choose to use this approach with each movement if you would prefer. Please note that there are no bar numbers given. This is a throwback to the legacy specification of an illustrated point, and it is the same with timing. Students do not need to say, for example, in bar 8 Bach uses, or at 20 seconds in the audio Bach uses. A great teaching tool is to have one of these elements on the board. Play either a set work or other music, and as students enter your classroom, ask them to identify the main features they can hear for that element. It gets the students to be actively listening from the start of the lesson, as well as provide a useful discussion which helps with assessment objective 4. An example of other music you could use would be a different cantata by J.S. Bach. In this case, Wach it auf, BWV 140, movements 1, 3 and 7. As you can see, there are a number of similarities between the pieces as well as differences, including the solo violin in movement 3 compared to the solo oboe in the set work. It can provide the basis of a discussion between students as well as teachers. This technique also highlights students' use of musical vocabulary, as well as identifying any musical elements which students struggle with. In the example given, you can see there is nothing in tonality or structure. This provides the start of a feedback discussion, and the student will need additional support to increase their understanding of those musical elements. Here is an outline of key musical features for our second set work of Vaughan Williams On Wenlock Edge. This can provide the basis of a discussion to really confirm students' understanding of the set work and other music. Here is an example completed for other music relating to On Wenlock Edge. A final resource to consider is this table. Either you or your students choose a set work, then think of 3 pieces which could be considered other music. Describe how it links to the set work and why to use it. This works well as a homework assignment or an example of flipped learning in preparation for a lesson on other music. You give the students 3 pieces to listen to and consider how each links to the set work, should it be used and why. Here is a summary of key points with regards to studying other music. Incorporate examples of other music into your teaching of each set work and area of study. Link other music to the elements and main musical features of each set work. Be precise when naming the piece, composer and movement of other music. An other music illustration is naming a linked piece. An other music justification is giving a short explanation of the linked piece. For further support and guidance, please contact us using the details provided in this slide and sign up for Subject Advisor updates.